Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jarvis Escott with What's Happening Birmingham. Today I have the honor and pleasure of being with Mr. Bob Dickerson of the AG Gaston Conference, with actually the 15th AG Gaston Conference, which will be on February the 12th and 13th of next month. Bob, good afternoon.
Hello, Jarvis. How you doing?
Great. This is Bob's second time being on my podcast, but I want
Only the second?
Yeah, the second
I thought
time.
I've been on there like a bunch of times. So
I know.
Way more.
You really didn't check out the first one
Way
we did.
more.
He was dropping a lot of knowledge on that first one. But we just came today to really kind of talk about the conference next month. And Bob, just kind of tell a little about the conference.
So the conference, this is our 15th, as you said, conference. We've always had tried to do a conference that spoke about economic empowerment. And so, we really believe that owning successful business enterprises is one way to sort of close the racial wealth gap and create empowerment for our people. So that's what we've been doing, and we do it in deference to, and we honor A.G. Gaston, who, as you know, was an iconic business owner. He was actually named Entrepreneur of the 20th Century by Black Enterprise magazine. So, in Birmingham, A.G. Gaston still reigns supreme as it relates to small business and Black-owned small business. So, therefore, we have the A.G. Gaston Conference. We're happy to be doing it for 15 years.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit more about A.G. Gaston, especially for the millennials that probably all they probably know is probably the boys?
Yeah, well, you know about the Boys and Girls Club, and there was the A.G. Gaston Motel that just became a national monument. But Gaston started his businesses almost 100 years ago. He started with a burial society. It grew to be an insurance company. It also spun off a funeral home, which still exists, Smith & Gaston Funeral Services. We don't like to talk about funerals, but they're still around. So he also had a bank, and he formed a bottling company, the Brownville Bottling Company. Had a school in 1939. He started the Booker T. Washington Business College to train people how to work in businesses, and be clerks and typists and stenographers and that kind of thing. So he was always ahead of his time, and his mantra, the thing that he is most well known for, are his recommendations for success. And the most well-known recommendation was find a need and fill it. So what he did was, when he saw something that was a need in the community, like needing insurance, needing burial policies, needing a bank to finance the purchases of homes and so forth, he found a way to fill the need by starting businesses. And the community rewarded him for it, and he became a multi-millionaire at one point, purported to be worth some $160 million.
Okay. And kind of give a little history how you met Dr.
So
Gaston.
I met him. Well, everybody in town knew Dr. Gaston, and I had met him, but I got an opportunity to work for his bank. I started there in 1984. I was there for about 5 years until 1989, and I was the senior lending officer at one point at Citizens. So I got a chance to work for him, and it was quite an experience.
Okay. So we got 2 days, the 12th and the 13th. Two very great speakers, that you bring. If you haven't heard of Angela Rye and Boyce Watkins, can you tell me the reason why you chose those two this year?
Well, so this being the 15th year, we wanted to talk about, something a little bit different. So we're talking about economics, politics, corporate social responsibility, and quality of life. And so obviously Angela Rye, being the ex-executive director for the Congressional Black Caucus and also a commentator on CNN. And if you haven't seen her, she's really outspoken. She's a truth teller, and so is Boyce Watkins. And so to bring her in to talk about, economics and politics and how that affects what we do in our communities, we thought was important. And Boyce Watkins is a thought leader, a provocateur. So if somebody's going to say something really provocative, it may be Angela, it's likely to be Boyce, but he's going to talk about this 21st century green power from a Black perspective. Gaston wrote the book Green Power in 1970, And so now, when we're almost 50 years beyond that. So what does the 21st century green power look like from a black perspective? And there probably is no other national voice that we could get that could bring that better than Boyce Watkins.
Okay. So also going on the first day, you got A.G. Gaston Legacy Luncheon.
Well, one of the things that we always try to do is remember A.G. Gaston, remember the reason that we're doing the conference. And so to have him and some of his relatives, of course, I'm going to be there sharing my memory of him, and his granddaughter, Rochelle Malone, is going to be there. Also, Frank Adams, who actually attended the A.G. Gaston Boys Club and now is the executive director of the A.G. Gaston Boys and Girls Club. So we think our perspectives and memory about Gaston and what he did will be interesting to our audience.
Okay. And Boyce is actually,
Boyce is on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, Angela is doing political power versus economic gain.
Right.
Now, I love what you're doing. The second day, you're kicking off civic innovation with Dr. Anthony Hood.
Well, so one of the things that we've done, and we always have, top flight national folks to come and speak, but we probably don't talk enough about the local experts we have. So Anthony is just one example. UAB professor, thought leader in our community, and so he is going to be joined by Adrian Starks and Anthony Oney from Alabama Power Company and a couple other people to talk about civic innovation. And the good thing about that panel is they're all young people. They're folks your age, Jarvis. They're young. I don't know how old Anthony is, but I can almost assume he's the oldest one on the panel, and he's very young.
Oh, okay.
And so just to get a more youthful, perhaps even a millennial perspective on what's happening in Birmingham, we think it's important that folks from my generation start to hear more from people of your generation.
Okay, and then follow that up with expert views on corporate social responsibility.
Our corporations have a role to play in our community, and many of them do. And so we've got Milo Choi, who heads up the Alabama Power Company Foundation, Chris Nani, who heads up the Community Foundation, Leroy Abraham, who recently took over community development for Regions Bank, among some others, to just talk about what our corporations can do, what they are doing, and how that benefits the entire quality of life for all citizens in the Birmingham area.
Okay, so then follow up with Boyce doing the Green Power Luncheon.
Yeah.
So with this conference, what's one thing you would tell small business owners that's looking at, watching this right now?
Well, Gaston was a business owner extraordinaire, and so obviously we always have some conversation about how he did it, what he did, and what it takes. But one of the focuses that we have to have, in businesses is we have to close the racial wealth gap. And so in order to do that, I believe that starting, growing successful business enterprises is one way to do it. It may not be the only way, but it's a sure way. Because you're not going to get wealthy, putting money in your 401k more than likely. So you're not going to get wealthy working a job from 8 to 5 or even from 8 to 8. Starting and growing a business is a way to escape the glass ceiling that employment provides, and also it's a way to bridge that gap. So we're always going to be trying to talk, and Boyce Watkins is really a good person to talk about why we should be starting businesses, but moreover, why we should be supporting those who start businesses, because you don't make it unless somebody buys your product or service. There was when I worked at Citizens Trust, Citizens Federal, for Gaston, Lou Willie was one of my bosses, and he had a sign up in his office, and it said, "Nothing happens till somebody sells something." And that's something that stuck with me all these years. So what we've got to be about is helping our businesses, our companies, our firms make sales, and we have to be willing to be the customers of these businesses if we want them to succeed. Gaston found these and filled them. Our businesses and our community have to do the same thing.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. In your opinion, other than capital, what's the challenge that small business owners face?
Yeah, access to market opportunities would be the next thing. People do business with who they know, like, and trust. So if you've never been able to break through that circle, if you've never been able to do business with someone, then you're always standing on the outside looking in. So what we have to do is we have to find a way to get new people, new vendors, new suppliers engaged with some of these corporations and purchasers, procurers of goods and services. As we do that, and that needs to be a community-wide effort, but as we do that, we introduce more businesses to the opportunity to do business. And you know, it kind of disassembles and breaks through the barriers that the quote-unquote good old boy, good old girl network has. And good old boy and good old girl is not necessarily racial, but it's accepting new people, letting new folks in, being more open to trading with someone who's new, who may be bringing a new idea, a new technique. But if we're going to grow business wealth and revenue, then we've got to do it by being open to letting new entrepreneurs thrive and survive in our community. We're doing that very well in the tech field, but we have to expand that and do that well in all of our other industries, service industries, manufacturing, and so forth and so on down the line.
Another thing I always tell people too, you're not really a thriving business until you have a +1. And it's a lot of us that's just, we create a business just enough for a job for ourselves.
Exactly.
And never multiply it.
Exactly, that's true. I mean, we have a lot of people who are in business who basically created a job, and you just said that. We do need more companies, and I think we have to make the distinction between what is a business and what is a company. And a company, in my mind, has multiple employees. Unfortunately, for example, black businesses, there are 2 million in the nation, and only 200,000 have employees, more than 4 or 5 employees. And so, but in order to have employees, you have to have size and girth and strength and revenue. And so we have to take businesses that may have 1 or 2 employees and grow them to 5 or 6. And the ones that have 5 or 6, we got to grow them to 10 or 12 and so forth and so on. Well, then we start to drive employment. And if we did that in Birmingham, what would happen is we saturate the employment base. And that means people would move here because there'd be job opportunities. So we'd start pulling people back from the Atlantas and Charlottes and Nashvilles because we're creating these opportunities based on growing businesses in our community. There's got to be a strategy. And again, that's to not only help our community, but to close that wealth gap.
Okay, and another thing too, I want to kind of go back to that. You hear the buzzword now called workforce development, and how important that is, giving them the necessary skills, which, to work in the workforce. As for example, I know Literacy Council of Alabama, about almost 100,000 people in Jefferson County are illiterate.
Yeah, that's a big challenge for businesses to be able to have a quality and qualified and competent workforce. What we have to do with our programs is to understand that we're training people for jobs of tomorrow.
Okay.
It's hard to really be that forward thinking when you have needs today. And instead of trying to figure out how to create jobs for people who may struggle to, with their literacy or with some of the other things that it takes to do those jobs, we've got to create the educational processes that equip people to do the jobs for 2025 and 2030 and so forth and so on. But we still can't overlook the folks that are sitting here who want a job and who need to make more than $7 or $8 an hour, because that's pretty much the working poor. So we've got to be creative in the way we approach workforce development, not to just leave behind this group of folks that may struggle with their competency on certain levels, but also to be very diligent in our efforts to match what companies are going to need, 5, 10, 15, even 20 years from now, with what we're training people to do.
Okay, so I'm trying to go in the eyes of the viewer right now, especially the small business owner. What would you tell that business owner that's watching right now and say, okay, well, this is a great conference, but it's 2 days. 2 days that I might be out of my business. Why should I come to this conference?
I would say, A, pick a day if you can. And I would say, B, the most important thing for you to do is to mind your business. And so I don't want anybody to, jeopardize their standing in business by coming to the conference. And so while we would love to have you there, we understand that you have to make sure that you prioritize, and that if you're in business, being in or at your business may be a bigger priority. Second thing is, all of the things that we talk about at this conference, you can get from me and my staff here. So call us.
Oh, okay.
We can give it all to you. We may not be Boyce Watkins or Angela Wright. But I guarantee you, we can give you what you need.
All right. Well, the second question is, somebody that's watching this, they may say, "Well, I don't own the business, but I want to come to this conference."
Come. I mean, there's something for everybody. I mean, if you want history or Black history, we're going to talk about Gaston. If you want to hear about economics and politics, we got Angela Wright. If you want to talk about green power in the 21st century, and civic innovation, or corporate responsibility, or what the news media ought to be doing, I think we kind of hit all the heights and all the kind of buttons with this conference. So I can almost assure you, either day there'll be something that you would benefit from and enjoy.
And then I think most importantly, even networking possibilities. That you
Absolutely.
get all these groups of people all at one time that you may normally never have the opportunity to talk to. So I definitely don't want to miss that. I've been going for years, and I'll definitely be there next month because I'm telling you, just the two speakers, but just meeting fellow business owners. And also, I guess some of you talk about it, every now and then, like you said, mind your business, but sometimes you need to sharpen your craft and get knowledge because sometimes you can have your own way of thinking.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of folks, one of the most important things one of the most important attributes of a business owner is knowledge, and knowledge isn't something that you have and you quit adding to it. So you got to have superior knowledge, and you got to keep adding to it. So if this is a way for you to add to your knowledge, then we certainly encourage you to come.
Okay. So for more information and to register,
it's the website aggastonconference.biz, aggastonconference.biz. There's an Eventbrite page. You can click on it. You can register, and the public is certainly welcome. We look forward to seeing you there. If you come and you saw this video, tell me, and we may have something special.
Man, I like that. Okay, well, Bob, thank you for taking time out today.
Right.
I always appreciate this, man, because I like to do a personal fact. 12 years ago, when I first started my business, I got my first business loan from Bob.
Did you really?
Yeah, first business loan.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I got my first business loan. So definitely, if you're looking for trying to get a business loan, just overall knowledge, or just to pick this man's brain, please feel free to give him a call. He's very accessible. He will call you back. And just don't want to miss this conference, because I just want to hark back to, because sometimes us as business owners, we get so stuck in our business that we kind of forget that, hey, we got to keep our skills sharp. And definitely the best way to keep your skills sharp, you got to go meet new people. And even while you're here, you get to hear new ideas. And also sit and talk with other business owners about what they're going through. So, but Bob, thank you again.
Thanks, Jarvis.
And for more interviews, please check out my website, what'shappeningbirmingham.com, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, y'all. So thank you again, and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.